Over the past 14 months, I suspect more people have become aware that something called a manufacturing supply chain impacts their lives. That awareness might have started back when stores first ran out of toilet paper, and the news was full of reports of dire consequences of running out of masks and other personal protective equipment. Now, cars can't be made because the world doesn't have enough semiconductor microchips. And a container that got stuck in the Suez Canal for 6 days at the end of March is still wreaking havoc. Then this week, 4 states declared states of emergency over gas shortages after hackers shut down Colonial Pipeline. Here to help us make sense of all of this is Nada Sanders, an author and distinguished professor of supply chain management at Northwestern University. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, as I just said in my introduction, I don't think the average person has ever been more aware of how supply chains can disrupt their lives. But I'm wondering if I could start with zooming out a bit, and if you could help explain what we're seeing here. Because to me, seemingly, there's two sorts of events that are happening. On the one hand, as I understand it, the chip shortage is still due to pandemic-related manufacturing interruptions. But then a freighter getting stuck in the Suez Canal or hackers hitting a U.S. pipeline seem unrelated to that, but are they connected in some way?
Yes, they are. They're connected from the standpoint when you look at a supply chain. Disruption is a normal part of it. It just happens. There are weather events that create a stoppage. There are tsunamis, hurricanes. We've had the SARS event in the past. So it's a normal thing. And what happens is you have a stoppage. It takes a little bit of time. Supply chains sputter, but they're back up. What the problem here is that we have very weakened global supply chains from COVID. From a year of really being locked down, production stopped. So now any of these events that we would normally see are extremely challenging. It's really, throwing extra weight on a very fragile chain that isn't responding as it is. So it's kind of like, a sick person getting something else on top of what they currently have. So we always talk about events when we study supply chains. But the problem is, again, a year of no inventories or very little in the pipeline has made supply chains really fragile. So when we add on top of that the freeze in Texas, when you add on top of it Suez Canal, again, these events would have happened probably anyways, but the chains that we currently have, the lack of inventory in the pipeline, in the system, is so weak, so fragile, that it simply can't recover. It can't bounce back. And I think it's going to be considerably longer because it's going to take time. People don't realize how long it takes to repopulate. And it's kind of like, if you think about an accident on a very complex highway system, you can, clear up the accident. But if you're a few miles back, you're still going to be sitting for a long time until it kind of moves closer to you and you're able to move forward. Well, we have had one event after the other. And so now these have had compounding effects. And so we are seeing shortages. We're seeing shortages of chips. We're seeing shortages of, you name it, chicken, boba for boba tea, chlorine, lumber. And across the board, it is impacting the economy and ultimately what we're seeing in terms of prices.
Be sure to watch the entire episode, now available exclusively on EpochTV.com, a new completely censorship-free premium subscription platform brought to you by the Epoch Times. See you there.